Hello and welcome to the Scientific Investor channel. As always, today we will start with our favorite cryptocurrencies. We will first look at the chart of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Stellar, XRP, NEO, and we will analyze those charts in shorter time frame and longer time frame. Then we will move on to the news, the updates about Bitcoin, XRP, XLM and other currencies, digital currencies. So first, without wasting our time, we'll actually move on to a chart analysis. This is XRP on daily, and there's no much update to do in daily chart, because as we analyzed the chart and discussed about that yesterday, there's no much fluctuation in daily times. But if you are a trader looking in shorter time frames, what you can see is a downward trend which is having lower highs and lower lows, whereas at this particular point it's closing down. So usually this turns out that it may pop out to the upside, majority of the time. When I was watching the channel Crypto Revolution, it's not actually XRP related channel, but yeah, he does almost all the cryptocurrencies and teach you technical analysis. So if you're interested, you can actually visit that channel. So now in this particular pattern, you have around 68% of chance that it may break out upside. So if that's the case, I think if you're a short-term trader, that will be the perfect time to buy. But as always, I'll repeat, if you are looking to buy, either you can buy after the breakout or retest. I'll say retest, buying retest will be better than buying just the breakout. But yeah, almost all the time the retest doesn't happen. Now this is Stellar XLM on hourly chart. It's still actually following the trend line support. It's moving up. Now at this particular point it is at the trend line support. So if the price bounces from here, crosses the 20-day moving average, that looks like a potential buy area, because you can see the trend is being changing. Look, at first it was like this, then it dropped a bit, then it went up high. So if that's the case, then the price can actually break the trend line and come a little bit down. Maybe this area will be the prior resistance and support, so this can act as a support and start a new trend line there. But when we are looking the same in 4-hour chart, it's looking strong, like the trend line is looking strong. If we take out this line and look at it in this way, we can see that that price came back above that trend line and it is currently within that and at the base. So if it manages to stay there and slowly move up, then it can have a rounded bottom correction in this time frame. Now we will actually move on to BTC, Bitcoin, the king of cryptos, as most of them name it. So now this one we actually discussed even yesterday. We are at the top. We tried to break, but we couldn't. But we came back down to the support of 200-day moving average. That's the yellow line here in 4-hour chart. Now if we actually look at that in 1-hour chart, we can see that it's below all the moving averages in hourly, say 200, 20 and 50. So that's actually a bit of a bearish scenario. But when you analyze, say, the MACD, I'll change the color of MACD so it'll be easy for you guys to catch up. Okay, so if I'm looking at MACD, what I see here is move upside, like the volume is shifting, the trend is changing, but the price is more or less consolidating in the same range. So personally I would expect move higher. So if you are actually looking for a move higher, then again you can try to analyze where the resistance lies currently and where the support is in shorter time frame, and keep your stop losses so that you limit your loss if your decision is wrong. But if you are a long-term investor, say looking at larger time frame charts like 1 day, weekly and all, then yeah, it should be okay. But again, in this particular area, as we talked, currently the price is above the 200-day moving average, so that can act as a support, and the price is showing downward trend, but the MACD is showing something different, so that's a divergence, and the price may bounce up high. And if that happens, that can actually reach the top of this channel, which is around 9,100. And if it breaks, you can actually be a better buyer after the break and the retest. So now we can actually look at the chart of LTC, and then we'll look for a NEO. So for LTC in 4-hour chart, it's still actually showing that it's crossed the long-term trend line. Now this is actually a 4-hour chart. When I say long-term, I say really long-term. See, you take that and look the chart in weekly. So the chart is in a log scale, okay? So in this weekly chart, you can see that it's still above that. In weekly, in daily, in 4-hour, and all, the price is above the long-term moving average. And what I meant is long time trend, sorry for that. And the price is currently above 50-day moving average in 1 day, and then 4-hour it is about 200-day moving average, making a new pattern there. But it is actually consolidating above this support, so that should work well. So if you are looking to buy, I'll say look at the trend line support. If it breaks, don't do that. Like, it has already broken there, so if it get back to that trend line, that is actually a potential buy area. But as you can see, this area was the previous bull flag there, so in that area the price has reached back. Now if it manages to slowly recover and reach around 64-65, that can be a possibility to buy in there. Now we'll look the chart for NEO, and it's showing a positive momentum in a 4-hour chart. But at the same time, if you connect the MACDs, say you had the price here, you had the price here, the price is higher here, but if you connect the MACD, you see something like this. Even if you connect this, you see something like that, which is not actually that much good sign, but that's on a 4-hour time frame. If you look at that in 12-hour, 1 day, weekly, the trend is different. In weekly, it's still showing that the price is moving up high, but still the MACD is low. Okay, we understand that. But if you look at this particular bull flag, take say this one, the price actually came up here, it went above all the moving averages, and that's in daily. It crossed 20, 50 and 200-day moving average, and it still managed to stay above the 200-day moving average. Now at this particular point, 20-day moving average has crossed the 200-day moving average. That's a good sign for NEO. Now we'll actually come back to XRP and look the chart for just a moment to see the longer time frame trend. So this is the daily log scale chart of XRP, and we'll just try and see where we are right now in the longer trend. Because most of us who are XRP investor will be looking at a longer time frame chart to understand what has happened, what is happening, and what can potentially happen in the near future. Because we can only say near future, we cannot say tomorrow or next week, because that may not be accurate. And if someone says that they know, but what's going to happen tomorrow or 1 or 2 months, within 3 or 4 months, that's maybe a guesswork. Because even the experienced investors in this field say we can't actually predict that, whereas we can position ourselves into a safe area, because this is based on risk and reward. So if you are allocating yourself something, you should be aware of the potential risk. So at the same time, look at the opportunity there about the reward. So now in this pattern, we can see that it's still within that pattern, and if you look that, you can validate this area. Say you have a support, a resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, it turned support, it turned support. Now it's, if the price is actually bouncing up a bit, then it is actually a good sign. But as we just saw previously in a shorter time frame chart, the price is still moving inside falling wedge. So if the price managed to break high, that will be a good sign. Now this is a daily time frame chart in which I would like to show you a trend. Say this particular one is actually moving down, right? I'll turn the color into red so it's visible. So at the same time, if you look at the MACD, like what's happening, it's following the same trend. Now what to watch is the bottom area. Now the bottom from this area, it looks like something like this, or if you connect from here, it looks like this, a falling wedge. But at the same time, if you look at the MACD, it shows you a rising wedge. It's more like a rising triangle. You can call anything based on your pattern, but the idea is that it's showing a divergence in 1 day chart, and that's actually critical, because if that actually plays out, that's going to be a big deal for XRP, because the price breakout in XRP happens in just a couple of days and it bounces 200-300% in a matter of 2-3 days. As we can see, what happened previously here was something like that. The breakout was there. If you enlarge the chart and the MACD and zoom into what happened there, you can see that the price was actually making a low there, moving lower there, and in the longer time the MACD was supporting, so it actually moved up high. Okay, now we will actually move on to the news. The first one shows that Bitcoin runs to critical support. XRP and Bitcoin Cash pulled low. Yeah, we just saw in the charts that XRP and Bitcoin Cash actually pulled a bit lower, and Bitcoin is around its support. So they are showing that 50-day moving average is currently acting as a support. So if it managed to stay there, it can go up, like as we discussed. Now this is what they state as key supports. Now if you draw a trend line, you can see that the price is below that. But if the price makes a U-turn here, then now this one will be the support. Now for BCH, currently it looks like a head and shoulder and in 4 hour. So if this is a 50 and I think this is 200-day moving average, then the price may come near that, and that can actually act as a support. So that's actually good news. Now this one is related to XRP. It shows that the price went down 16% since the swell. Now we all were expecting something big to happen during swell, but you know that doesn't play it out. Now this one is actually a really good news for XRP, showing that Coinbase card adds XRP and launches in 10 more European countries. So that's actually a perfect news for XRP. Now I have some other news like these, but I'll just jump into the highlight. I personally see here is the XRP connecting rupee and dollar, rupee and euro, then XRP connecting dollar and euro. Wow, that's really great. What you have to look at is rupee is Indian rupee. That's what you're seeing there. It's a country with 1.3 billion population, and the majority of expatriates, say in Europe, US, is, you can see the population is too high. If you look at the migrant community in UK or Europe or US, Indians are a lot. So when they send money back home, they will always look which one will be the best option, which one will be the cheapest option, right? So as you can see now, they actually have these 3 corridors. So that's dollar, euro and Indian rupee. Now that's actually a highlight. I'm gonna make that my thumbnail for this video, trying to manage all those 3 within. Now we'll turn back to this one. Yeah, we actually stated this. Coinbase crypto Visa debit card adds support for XRP. Now you can actually spend your XRP for even a coffee. It's up to you. You can buy whatever you want. Now she's showing that the price went below the potential support line, and it may go a bit low. Yeah, you know, it's based on how you do the analysis, what kind of pattern you're managing, what kind of technical indicators you're using and your perspective for that. Now this one we actually talked about. NEOM is partnering more and more. Now it is showing that Visa to enable instant payments to Indonesia. Indonesia is another country which have high population, and most of them work outside. Like it's take for example a country like South Korea. Now the population, if we consider the population who goes outside to work and send money back home, maybe 2 or 3%, it's too low. So if you consider, and the number of individuals is too low, so if you consider that with India, that's an entirely different story. So yes, now looking at the next one, this is XRP liquidity increased by around 200,000%. That's a great story for XRP, because when the liquidity increases, the financial institutions can actually use this liquidity, right? If there is no liquidity, they can't actually think. For example, they want to buy millions of XRP. Previously, they actually went to Ripple or somewhere else where they can buy in OTC instead of buying it directly from the market, because buying directly from the market affects the price, right? So previously, they used to buy it from OTC markets. Whereas now there is proper liquidity in the market, so if they want to buy, they can actually dip their toe first, buy a little bit. That's what happened usually in the traditional market. So now XRP is kind of growing into a mature phase. So within next 1 or 2 years, most of the institutions who actually want to buy in will be coming in and buying directly from the market, and that will affect the price. That's actually my belief, and all of these are my personal opinion, right? But I'm trying to put facts first and then analyze it and come to a decisive conclusion. So now this is another author trying to predict the price, but we actually tried to predict the price, right? So they are also showing that XRP actually went down, and in one day chart, the MACD is indicating as a bearish one. For personally, when I look at that in a daily chart, the MACD is actually crossing and it's going down. But personally, I think I see something different. The trend just broke, but there is a divergence in between both the price action and the MACD. So for me personally, I'm not that bearish, but if you are to trade in a short term, you can place your stop losses below this wedge if you are looking in a shorter time frame. But instead, if you are looking on a longer time frame, you can put it below this, because if you look at this in weekly, as we discussed in our previous video, the science of investing, in that we talked about the weekly chart, and it was showing you the SC, ST and the spring here. So as I believe this is the spring which has been already made, this is my view, right? So this is the retest. So if you go to internet and say take Wyckoff pattern, you can actually see what I'm talking about, like the SC, ST and then the spring. So it won't be similar, but there may be some difference. Still, it will be rhyming what this actually states. Now there are chances where the spring don't go this to this bottom, or there will be a bit difference, but still you can see that this is the SC, ST, then the spring retest, then slowly bouncing up. So if you look at that in the daily, now we are getting kind of a retest and then again another retest, right? It tests there and then retest there, then move up. So if you want to learn more about accumulation phase of Wyckoff analysis, you can actually do that, and I suggest that's better. As we can see here, this we actually sold off till here, and it was like a selling climax, right? The price didn't actually go much lower. Instead, it tested that area again. So that's a ST secondary test, then it consolidated in that area. So guys, that's all for today. This is the Scientific Investor signing off now. If you guys like the content I provide, please do support the channel by subscribing, and if you like the content of this video, please give give a like. I'll meet you guys on my next video.